Hello and welcome everyone to Walford Weekly's 2019 year review.
Yeah, we're going to look back and have a look at what we liked, maybe didn't like, and what we tolerated from 2019.
2019 can be labelled as the year of short returns.
Yes, very much. Small impact for small goals, but hopefully for the greater good at the end.
Because there was loads of returns this year.
Mary,
Lofty, Sean, Bianca, Lee, like all these...
Robbie's son.
Yes, Nita.
Robbie's...
Terry Bates' wife.
Yeah.
Terry
Bates.
Bianca and Sean, they were probably two names we never thought we'd see again in EastEnders, and Kate Oates managed to do it.
Lisa,
yeah, she's come back.
Not to forget about Lisa either.
So yeah, lots of short returns for their individual storylines was like going throughout the year basically. But we're going to begin at the beginning of the year.
We are, but before we go any further, just to let you guys know that we're going to do the review of the year, then we're going to read out some of your favourite moments of 2019 on our Twitter and our Facebook group. And then at the end, we're going to shamefully put our heads in our hand and read each other's predictions of what we thought was going to happen in 2019.
Yeah, we wrote them last year, at the beginning of last year.
When we did our review of 2018.
The end of 2018, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was on the show. We said at the end of the show of the 2018 review of the year, we were going to write our predictions.
That's right.
And open them up.
They've been
now.
Sealed away.
They have. They've been in a special drawer next to you, haven't they?
So we don't know what we don't know what each other's written, but also I can't really remember what I've written.
Completely forgotten. I've got a funny feeling I did something about Max Branning because I was a bit obsessed with Max Branning having a storyline in 2019. Okay. So
I think one of mine is right, but I can't remember if I wrote it down. But we will see at the end of the show. So we're going to begin at the beginning of the year where Ray has just been killed, Mel's husband.
Yep. So we're doing January to March, and the big story was right at the beginning when Ray basically got stood up, or almost got stood up at his wedding, when Mel found out that he was a bigamist.
Oh yes, that's right. And she slapped both the wives, and she was strangled by him, and they went to the forest, and Hunter had shot him.
Yeah,
and
after a really cool scene, wasn't it? It was like
he came back from the dead and grabbed her.
Yeah, he kept waking up, didn't he? Every time she thought he was dead, he'd come back to life again.
And this is the beginning of the end of Hunter. This was because he'd obviously shot Ray protecting his mum, and this is where Mel's sort of obsession with her son began, I guess, and obviously we know how it ended.
Well, she always loved her son, didn't she? Yeah. But she wanted to protect her son, but Jack Branning got in the way, didn't he?
This is before he was a policeman.
Yeah, yes, he still had his friends in the police force, but he was also a grass, and so he basically got Hunter arrested and taken to jail.
Because he was going to escape the country or whatever, but Jack phoned him in,
put a spanner in the works.
Yeah, and that's where Mel's plan of wanting to screw over anyone in the square who has money, basically. And it started with Jack and Ian, and eventually moved on to Sharon.
Because for a short time we thought there might be a story also with Mel and Gray, because when we first discovered that Gray was a solicitor, Mel's ears pricked up, and she was all of a sudden best friends with Gray and kept asking him for advice about getting Hunter out of jail. Yeah. And so we suspected there was going to be a story between them two, but nothing really came of that, did it?
It kind of just disappeared. But yeah, Chantal and Gray arrived at the beginning of the year as well.
Yeah.
We had one of the best episodes of the year, which was the anniversary episode, which was Dr. Leg's funeral.
Yeah, brilliant episode.
Which short returns, Punk Mary was back, Baby Annie,
again, we were sure she was going to become a main character. She was part of the police force, she was a detective. We thought, we can...
she'd turn up somewhere.
Yeah, when we did say on the show, I remember we said we really need a detective on the show, and so they blooming re-employed Jack as a detective. It's like, no, we wanted Mary. Mary's daughter.
Maybe Jack will meet her in the police force and they'll get together.
Yeah, perhaps that's a story that's
coming. Or
coming.
she'll be Callan's best friend. Maybe.
Hang on, calm down. This is for my 2020 predictions. I need to write these down.
So, obviously the Dr. Leg episode was quite special.
It was lovely seeing Lofty back. And it was lovely that Lofty was able to have this friendship with Sharon almost instantaneously again. And he gave her a cheque to give to Michelle.
Because he knocked on her door, didn't she?
Yeah.
She was like, Lofty? And he asked about Michelle, but Sharon was like, no.
But it was really sweet that he still cared about Michelle and Vicky, and he wanted, he gave him some money to kind of just pass on. And it was, we don't know if Sharon did pass on that money.
No, she gave it to Mel probably.
But she probably kept it for herself in case the emergency with Phil came up.
Yeah, but because he said to Martin, you probably didn't know, but I've always seen Vicky as my own daughter. So that's really sweet to think all these years he's still thought about Vicky.
Still pining for that relationship he had with Michelle.
So bless him. But he's doing all right. He's got a chain of pubs.
Yep, loads of money.
He's got loads of money. Mary sorted herself out. She thanks Dot.
Oh, that was a lovely scene at the Vic.
Yeah, it was just a nice time. Dr. Leg was dead.
I was going to say, what a nice time for Dr. Leg. It was quite a hard time for him.
It was a nice episode, and we had 2 Julie's themes in a row.
Rarity nowadays.
Yeah, so what more could you ask for? But I mean, that was one of my favourite episodes of like the whole year. That one.
Oh, I totally, I did enjoy it. It was a great episode, and something to relish if you can find it again.
And the same episode was when Habiba and Ikra first arrived, where they were from like the tube station and they were trying to work their way around Walford. And
for me, it wasn't memorable.
No,
not the
they
Habiba
picked
and
up
Ikra
like
beginning.
that necklace, which was Dr. Legs or something, wasn't it?
Oh,
and they
that's
kept
right.
it for like
For
luck.
luck, yeah.
But yeah, that's their first interaction.
Oh yeah, I forget that they were introduced during Dr. Leg's funeral. Again, overshadowed. That's pretty much their story, isn't it? Overshadowed by something more important.
And also in the beginning few months, we had the beginning of the Jean cancer storyline, where she was getting pains and symptoms of everything, and it all got confirmed. But yeah, that's been running through the whole year as well.
Yeah, they've really committed to that story. And obviously later, in fact, not too far away in the following months of April, May and June, Jean got her wish and finally got to see her son one more time.
That's right, because she had like, was it Shirley's idea to write like a bucket list? And that's where we got the O2 situation,
bad audio dub.
Which was on the trailers and adverts, it looked amazing, but then it kind of was just a bit weird when it was on the show.
It was ruined mainly because of that
audio
sound missing, and there was obviously a problem with production, and when she was at the top of the O2 she had to read up all of her lines. I mean, a wonderful job.
Yeah, she did a good job at it, to be fair, but it's impossible to make it sound real
it sounded really out of place, which ruined it a little bit, which was a shame.
But yeah, we got the return of Sean, which, you know, everyone had pretty much written that off to never happen. But he did it, and he's been really positive about the show since, so good job for getting him on.
Well, he was on for a week, and we also heard the voice of Roxy as well.
Yeah, she came
back. Was a huge surprise for all of us. So she recorded a special recording. She was credited for it, so she must have done it specifically for the recording. I mean, that was the moment of the year. Hearing Roxy's voice on a voicemail was great. But poor Sean, he's torturing himself over the death of Roxy and his life ever since he ran away from the square. And Jack and him had that little scrap near the gravestone of Ronnie and Roxy.
Yeah, but then ended up like friends and drinking together.
They just needed
a
bit of a punch up just to realise that they weren't so different after all.
But I mean, it was a good few episodes. It was like to raise awareness for male mental health and all that things. And there were lots of shots of that shotgun, and you didn't know what he was going to do to himself, because he locked himself like away in that cottage, didn't he?
Well, he went with Jean to the cottage because they decided to have a couple of days away from everything, and it was a nice scene. It was almost like his last planned day with Jean. Like, he helped her shave her head, and they did a lot of activities together. But Jean was always very aware that Sean seemed to be one step away from going, because he took an interest in that shotgun almost immediately, and then he went missing, and Jean knew immediately where he would be. Mother's instinct, you see.
It was, but it was a really good storyline. But like most of the returns, it was like its own thing. Like it was like a mini EastEnders movie.
Oh, it was a block, wasn't it? It was just a week block, and it was the Sean and Jean story, wasn't it? Really, you saw the relationship between Jean and Sean, and her trying to help him, and him trying to accept Jean back into his life as well. It was a really good story, and it was nice. Also, Stacey was in the mix too, so it was, it was their little collective. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, this was the beginning of where they were trying to write up Lacey Turner's maternity leave. So we had that weird story of like Cush wanting to get custody of Arthur when he was with Kat in secret.
Oh, yeah,
like
that's
that really
right.
rubbish storyline where they were like making them all fight against each other, which didn't really...
Gave her reason to not want to hang around, but then it wasn't really linked to that for the reason why.
No, in the end,
Stacey
thank
went.
God, but that was like a dark...
Well, you say thank God, but the reason she did leave was probably not much better.
That's true. I mean, we had Keanu returning in April, where he was in his dark leather jacket from Spain.
Yep.
And this was like Keanu's dark Dark Keanu was like around for a bit, wasn't he?
Well, this is when he kind of
became a
brushed
Mitchell.
off. Yeah, he brushed off Sharon. He said that what we've done can't be, repeated. We have to forget about it. He became quite friendly with Phil, didn't he? He started the relationship with Louise around about this time because
Sharon found out she was pregnant.
Which Sharon also found out she was pregnant. Slammed a bottle of wine against the wall because she realised she couldn't drink anymore. It wasn't the fact that it was someone else's baby. It was more that she had no alcohol in her system. And there was another return as well in this period, which was a brand new, fresh-faced Ben Mitchell.
Yes, and he hasn't left our screen since. He's been in every episode
pretty much
90%.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a new recast Ben, and the internet was up in arms about it.
People were fuming about it. I mean, like everything, give it time. It's like a good wine or a cheese. It will soon mature and it will get better. But his first impact on screen was a bit confusing because he was trying to steal all the money from his dad, Phil, but Phil had no money. It was a very confusing storyline to begin with.
Because he brought Lola with him, and he was almost on the edge of being abusive with Lola and forcing her to do this plan where they were going to build Phil up to be this confident, rich man, and then he was going to break him down and push Phil right to the bottom and lowest he's ever been. And Lola was in on the plan to take over the Mitchell Empire, and then...
But Lola wasn't sure.
Did that really happen?
Well, no, none of it happened. In fact, it flipped on its head. I suppose the story did come to its natural end in a sense because you learned that Ben really all he wanted was to be loved and be part of his dad's family. He wanted to be embraced by his dad because he didn't feel like he was. He pushed his dad away, but then when his dad started to embrace him, he then brought him back in again. But there was that really strange human trafficking story.
With the containers, Louise in a container.
And then, they were being chased around by that...
Danny Hardcastle and
never to be seen again.
Or Mags or Mugs.
Muggles.
Something like that.
It was a really strange story.
That was bizarre.
But the one good story that we got out of Ben, I suppose, is that he was able to smell out a queer.
Yes, because that was the first time, wasn't it? Yes. Oh, Callum.
Him and Callum's first interaction with one another and, broke Callum basically the moment he met him.
That's right, because Callum was having to go back to the army, so he was having his assessment. He didn't really want to go back. He was struggling. And that's when Ben saw him in the park, hitting his leg with a bottle.
Yeah.
And from there, he knew.
Yeah, that was it. He's gay.
Yeah, and then they confronted each other in the Bill house. And it was a real shock and surprise because there was no press releases or anything that this was happening. It was. I remember watching it when it first happened, and you saw it coming before he said, "Oh, I smell queer." Like you saw some sort of strange tension between the two, and you thought, "Oh, are they doing this?" And then when he said that, it was like, "Oh my god,
yeah,
that this is what it is." And when he said it to Callum didn't say no.
No.
He sort of just got angry and... Yeah, I do remember that episode airing.
Well, he wasn't angry. He was really upset, wasn't he? He ran out. But yes, like you, I remember watching that episode and just being...
Shook.
Yeah, stunned to the place I was sat and amazed that this was the story they were going with Ben, that he was outing someone. And yeah, it was a good story as well.
It was really good. It's one of the best stories of the year. Our Callum.
And it was one of the first Kate Oates style era stories, I suppose. This was when she kind of started changing things up. So John York had stepped down at this point. He'd set things up ready for Kate Oates to then step forward and take over. And so this, I suppose, the middle part of the year was Kate Oates' year. And as we went forward, it was a bit more of a John Sen year near the end.
Yeah, that's right. So like the Callum being gay, the gene cancer storyline, and like the new version of Shianu, I suppose, with that's more Kate Oates, and that's where John York's all his stuff is gone, and now we're really into a new era. But I mean, yeah. And then we also had the suicide of Bailey's mum and the young carer situation, which, thinking about it now, like that young carer storyline didn't really run as much as maybe I thought it was going to.
I wish they'd actually
not
did
killed her
more
mum
with
so
it.
quickly.
Yeah, because they could have moved Bailey and her mum into the square and just had the story where you kind of saw the difficulties that Bailey was going through and the fact that she won't accept help readily, that she always has to.
Because you only saw her like caring for her mum a handful of times from what I can remember. So yeah, I think it's a bit of a shame. They could have
bit of a missed opportunity.
Done that a bit longer.
The one thing I would also say for Bailey is that I kind of miss her relationship with Keegan as well. That's something I'm missing now because they had that really strong bond, didn't they? And you see it from time to time now still, but I'd like to see more with them.
Yeah,
two
she does
together.
recycle now.
Well, she recycles, and Keegan's married with his sandwich business, isn't he? So
that's true. Who would have predicted that?
Well, quite.
So we had a really busy summer, which is unusual for EastEnders, but like the summer, I feel, it's probably better than like the winter that we've just had. I think the summer was like amazing. It was so much was going on and the show was really busy, and this is when there was a real change in like no block storytelling.
Yeah.
And like all the casts were being used evenly around the summer. Like there were storylines all over the place and people were crossing paths.
Oh, there was so much of them kind of mixing up and it was almost like they were experimenting which cast members worked well with other cast members and who kind of would be a good story together. And they were kind of throwing ideas at the wall and seeing what stuck. And yes, like you said, that meant there was lots and lots of stories in the summertime, which is very, very strange for an EastEnders.
Because normally it's like really slow. It's
the slow period, isn't
awful,
it?
But it was like the best period of time. Just looking at the list, you had the Pride episode, which was amazing.
That was a great episode.
Where Ben was being beaten by Stuart and Callum was still with Whitney, but he wanted to be out and proud, but he couldn't.
He cried to the song by M People.
That's right. We had the Walford 10K where we got the first reveal of what Gray and Chantel's home life is like behind closed doors.
Yes, because terrifyingly, he didn't like being made fun of by Mitch, because Mitch cheated in the race, and so then behind closed doors, Gray had taken Chantel back, and
it's the first time you saw
the
them
abuse
in their house on their own for the first time since January. So.
And this is when Ben basically lost any kind of faith in humanity, that his favourite character, Gray, had become an abusive character, and that Mitch was right after all.
I know. I was sure he was going to be a new Arthur Fowler, but how wrong I was.
Arthur Fowler?
Yeah, he was like an Arthur Fowler type, I was thinking.
Well, because
like
he was
nice family man.
But it was all show.
I know.
So it was all done very well, because all this, him helping out Karen and the family was all done just to kind of build him up so that people couldn't believe that he could be anything other than a nice guy.
We also had the stuff with Adam and Habiba, which was like, this is when it reached its height, I feel, when they were kissing in the park and Billy saw them and Ikra knew, and it was like, this is when that affair storyline was like, oh, this could be interesting.
Well, we also learned it was a bit historic too, that Habiba and Adam always had something between them.
Yeah, but she was too young. And,
it
was slightly creepy, but never really looked into properly.
I mean, we always knew we knew Adam had something in him because we saw that he was being cruel to Honey right at the beginning of the year. We just thought it may have gone a different direction rather than an affair. But we learned that he has had many affairs. He doesn't stick to one woman.
Yeah, they kind of changed him. I think because John York introduced Adam, I think he was going for more maybe a domestic abuse with Honey.
Yeah.
And then Kate Oates was like, no, I'm doing that with Chantal and Gray. So now we need to find something for Honey so he can just be an adulterer.
Yeah.
So it was messy throughout the whole year and it was really inconsistent, but around the summertime I think it was at its most interesting when Habib was like sneaking around the flats and Honey was there.
And Honey knew about it too. That's what made it a bit more of an interesting affair storyline, where affair storylines is normally that the wife or the girlfriend doesn't know that it's happening, and so only the viewer knows. But Honey knew that there was this going on, and she tried her best to try to get Adam back. And it was really sad to see Honey kind of just knock herself down in such a way that she had to almost plead for Adam to stay with her. But he gets his comeuppance later in the year.
He does. We have another bin storyline.
We do.
So we always welcome a bin.
Square on the face for Mr. Adam.
We also had a summer wedding of Callum and Whitney, which also introduced the return of Bianca as well, and Hunter in the same sort of week. So that was a really good week.
Oh goodness, yeah, because that was more at the beginning of September, wasn't it? So that was the big week in September where they had the Siege week. We'd just like to nod our caps to Coronation Street for stealing that for their Christmas special this year.
Yeah, not as well done.
And as you say, the wedding as well, where we learnt that Callum ran a bit like the Bionic Man. He just went.
He was running everywhere
with his arms knotted straight to his side and just kept running.
But it was good because Callum had told Whitney before the wedding, so it wasn't like a thing at the altar. Like the way they did it was really good, and Whitney wasn't like shouting or hating him.
No,
she understood.
Well, she didn't understand, but she accepted it for now. It's been a few months since that she's kind of forgiven Callum for the situation.
But it was just really handled really well, and obviously after the wedding was when Hunter returned and Mel had been doing her home brews when she was kind of like fixing him up. This is also the period when they had the big water tank stunt. Oh yeah, the fish tank stunt.
Yes, when Mel stole the drugs.
Mel's best stunt of the year.
She had to have a double for it. She didn't want to get her feet wet, and I do not blame her. I feel the same way.
No. And that's when Ben was shot.
Yes.
And he was in Callum's arms in
and
front
that's
of everyone.
where we also learned that Sonia can basically help anyone as long as she's got a biro. She can fix you with a biro.
But that was a really good week as well, like a really strong week with Mel. Like a lot of the strong episodes revolve around Mel and Hunter, which is strange.
I'm not surprised at all, because I think Mel and Hunter really were. This was their year, and as I said, I liked The Wedding, I loved The Siege, and the actor Charlie Winters was a real pleasant surprise when he came back, because he was a bit
He always
difficult.
gave up before, didn't he?
But he gave up when he knew he was doing this, when he was leaving, a bit like what Keanu did, you know.
Yeah.
But when he came back, it was almost like he obviously knew he was coming back for this one big storyline, and he gave it 100%. And you know, Charlie Winters, top notch, honestly. Well done, mister.
Yeah,
it was real
good.
done.
Linda was held hostage.
Yes.
What a year for her.
I know. Linda's really been rattled in the cage, hasn't she?
I mean, obviously, we mentioned Bianca's return. Sean's was like this great big story that he had for himself. But Bianca was kind of just there, like, because Bianca was there.
Well, she was there for cannon fodder, really, just to kind of fill in a story for Whitney in the future. So that's when Leo returned, and Bianca
he was at the wedding.
Yeah, and again, we were a bit surprised that we were so quick to learn that Leo was Tony's son. So we knew from the beginning that obviously his plan was to basically woo Whitney and basically kind of get her. We didn't know what he wanted to do with Whitney, but there was something sinister that he wanted to do.
And he'd been sort of blackmailing Bianca, and she kind of sorted it all out within 2 episodes, and she was off. And now she just appears on the phone, or she sends money every now and then again. So
that's right. If something major happened, they give her a call. Well, a bit like Keegan and Tiff's wedding, which obviously Bianca gave him a call and was like, "Oh, hello, having
and Sonia
a good time."
hung up. We also had at the end of this time, because we're talking about September time now, we had the storyline where, we forgot to mention it before, but where Rainey took baby Abby and took her to that hotel and had that fake English accent thing, which was a bit fun for a few episodes.
Put on a persona and then ran away.
And then we also had Rainey's time where Kathy's worst moment of the year, where she was sort of getting Rainey hooked on drugs again because she'd injured herself, and it was all a bit...
Well, Rainey was already on the verge, or had been taking a few drugs by this point.
Because she'd hurt a rib and things, hadn't she? Because she choked on something, like a straw at the hen do or something, and...
Oh, that's right.
Sonia gave her the Heimlich.
That's right, and she said that Sonia was a bit too harsh on her, So she was hooked on just kind of like painkillers, and so Kathy thought, here we go, this is a sign, I'm going to get her to... Because she's... Basically, Kathy didn't want her looking after baby Abby if she was in this kind of situation.
It's really weird. That baby Abby situation, for 2 years now, we've just been on these weird storylines.
Well, it's just been a fight, hasn't it?
Everyone
who
wants baby Abby.
I know.
The best baby, apparently.
She's like the prize of... She's like the throne on Game of Thrones. Whoever gets baby Abby is the king or queen of the square.
But we got like a Donna Ludlow mention, which was a surprise by Kathy about her first child and how they're quite similar, Rainey and her. So that was nice. And we also had the storyline of Bex with her suicide and her running away and her university and her, again, pill addiction, where she was doing things. But I mean, again, that was... maybe not handled the best. It kind of just fizzled into nothing.
It never came from nothing. It was always it was always there bubbling away, but after it happened it was then
that's what I meant,
kind of
like
thrown away. Really thrown away, which is a real shame, because I think, they dealt with Sean's, as you said earlier in the year, with male suicide and depression, and I think they could have given it the same kind of thoughtfulness, or almost carried it on with the Sean story to say, like, we all have our ups and downs, and it's sometimes some people just need that help and comfort and support. And
because Bex's was like pressure led, like with her exams and feeling pressure from her mum and dad. So it was like another side to it, which they kind of
she felt like she couldn't step up and do what everyone expected of her.
And in the Bill house, we had another recast, which Kate Oates loves. The recast, which Bobby Bill was back with a new face.
And Max chased after him when he first appeared and shouted Bobby Bill and knocked down his door.
I know, it was horrible. He kicked in the door, went into his living room, threatened him.
BFFs now, them two.
That's
making jokes about Ian.
I mean, I liked Bobby, like, the second he was on screen. I thought he was great. And he has proven to be a really good addition, actually, as a recast. And he had the really interesting storyline where he was converting his religion to Muslim from being in prison. And like the reaction to his family about
again,
that's been quite interesting.
A low point from Kathy when she reported Bobby's friend to the police because she was afraid that he might be a terrorist. And it's like, oh, for goodness sake, Kathy's had some real lows this year.
I know.
Now maybe you see why I put her so low on my tier list.
She opened Prince Albert.
It doesn't outweigh her quite obvious racism she's had this year.
Yeah, but she's not homophobic.
On more than one count. No, but at least she's not homophobic. That's the main thing.
Our Kathy. But though it is an interesting storyline. And when they announced it, I was quite interested in it. And they've handled it pretty well. I know Bobby's been like, he has weeks on, weeks off. We don't really hear from him. But I think overall, he's been a really good addition.
I'm excited about Bobby, actually, and where his direction is going. And yeah, as you say, the actor is good. And yeah, excited to see what they're going to do with him in the 2020s.
So we're going to move on to the fourth quarter of the year now, which I would say was probably the worst quarter of the year. Looking back at it now, like
really?
we had Dark Martin, which I don't like, which you know. We've got Leo and Whitney, like that stalker getting together situation.
Now, see, the only contention I have with Leo and Whitney is the fact that Whitney was so dumb to put all of her life story on social media that it was so obvious that Leo was going to basically learn everything and be able to manipulate her so easily from literally what she's been posting. And it's a lesson for us all to learn to, be careful what you tell people.
Exactly.
But at the same time, it's like the Whitney surprise when she found out that Leo was a little bit upset with her.
That's how you knew my favourite cocktail.
Yeah, and then she the surprise of it is like, oh, and you never guessed, he got it from my social media. And it's like, well, yeah, of course he did, because you practically posted everything bar your driving license on there.
We had 4 new arrivals, because Ash and her brothers, Paynesar brothers, all arrived to mixed reviews.
Yeah.
Where they were kidnapping Lola, they were being mean to Ben.
Yeah.
They were putting rat droppings in places.
So they can start a rat business.
They're going to take over the square
Chucking
now.
out the Slaters so that they can have the house, but then someone paid the difference and now they got the house. I mean, the most interesting thing, I suppose, is what we've learned recently, which is that
right at the end.
Yeah, that Kurit has a real problem with his sister Ash, and that the other two brothers are kind of like playing mediators between them.
And like their mum's ill and there's that whole sort of situation going on. I mean, the best part for me, Mel versus Sharon.
Of course.
I mean, that was... I feel that... Because it was so good, it like overshadowed the actual reveal of the affair.
Oh, it rode it along, and...
It was so good.
And at first we were a bit unsure that they played their hand a bit too quickly by murdering Mel at the beginning of December, but then we realised that no, because then we can have the detective Phil kind of looking into whether Mel was right about, or Lisa actually was the one who kind of revealed that Sharon's wasn't carrying Phil's baby. But I just love my favourite bit of that story is the fact that Mel just so easily manipulated Sharon with just this DNA result that she had found or had ordered from Sharon's doctor easily.
I mean, Mel was just someone that like no one could have won against her. Like even though Sharon has been through so much and she's overcome everything, Mel was a woman who literally had nothing to lose. So there was nothing that Sharon, no matter what Sharon did, Mel was like, well, I'm just going to carry on being this bitch to you, and like she had nothing to lose, and the only way I guess of now looking at it, the only way of ending it was for Mel to die. But I mean, that was such a great week when it was so the cool. Louise birthday and Sharon's joint birthday and the whole car situation, and
everyone was in E20 and they heard her crash.
But Sharon,
get the phone, Keanu!
Yeah, but Sharon didn't let her die. Like she risked her life and buckled her belt and dragged her out.
Always holding her tummy when she was doing it, just to show that she's pregnant.
She tried to save Mel, but Mel... We had that like moment of shock where she walked in front of a lorry, which it doesn't really make sense if you think about it, but it was so camp with those two characters.
Absolutely. Suspend your belief just for one moment.
It was so good, and I feel like that was so good. That Christmas reveal was just like nothing could top it. So it kind of they kind of were too good too quickly.
No, you're absolutely right, but it felt right that Mel needed to die before Christmas so that we can have that slow burn as we went into the Christmas episodes.
That's true.
I agree with you 100%. The campness of it, the over-exaggeration of some of the stories as we were going toward the crash, the car chase was outstanding.
Oh god, yeah, those shots, those
moments. It was just so much fun and so frantic, and it just felt like exactly what we wanted. A nice, over-the-top kind of big reveal.
I'm still shocked and like upset that Mel died.
Same.
I'm not gonna lie.
No.
But it's happened and it is what it was. And she had like a really good year of storylines, right from January right to December.
Oh, yeah. Tamsin Althwaite played a blinder with Mel. And I don't know if Tamsin listens to the podcast. Probably not. But if she does, I'd like to say brilliant job, Tamsin. And thank you so much for coming back just to do those scenes. And it is a shame that Mel had died. But there's a small part of me inside that's thinking that when in the future there's the scenes when Sharon dies on screen, that she'll see the ghost of Mel sitting on the stairs with a cigarette saying, "You're right, darling. I'll look after you." A la Peggy and Pat.
Yeah, let's not think about Sharon's demise, please.
I don't know.
We had some happier moments as well towards the end of the year, believe it or not. We had the Tiff and Keegan wedding in Scotland, which was like a really good... There was no drama to it. It was just happy and nice road trip. And
it was a nice throwback from 1991, wasn't it?
Yeah, but like seeing the Taylors together and Keanu with his brother and sister and being a Taylor again, it was quite nice.
Oh, completely. It was even written for one of the characters to say, "It's so nice to have you, Keanu. You're back to yourself when you're away from those Mitchells." And he did. He felt like a nice character again.
Classic Keanu.
Yeah, KK, classic Keanu.
And then obviously we had Honey and Adam's bin gate, where she finally stood up because Ash was being a friend to her and noticed her eating disorder, and she chucked a suitcase at him, she chucked a bin at him. She didn't need Billy or Ash or Ikra or Habiba to do it for her. She stood up for herself and did it herself. So
she didn't need Billy for about 2 weeks, and then she went running back to Billy.
Yes, we won't talk about that. And then I guess the last lot is the Christmas and New Year storyline, where we've got sort of mixed mental health, we've got Linda's drinking, and we've got the Keanu murder.
Well, yes, in inverted commas. Yes. Keanu cover up, let's call it. But for me, over Christmas, the big one for me was the Linda drinking episode. I mean, the Christmas story was great. The Christmas episodes were great. Episodes alongside them were fine. But for me, it was the Linda drinking episode. Fantastic.
And even Linda's part in the Keanu and Martin, like Kelly Bright was carrying all these episodes for Christmas. I find she was just standout star.
Absolutely. And again, I don't know what they're going to do with the Carters, but I think that their time in the Vic is very short.
But there was another return as well with Lee. We can't forget.
I forgot about Lee. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I forgot about Lee.
Lee had a nice return where he was a nice sensible guy, and he was like there for everyone. Even Shirley smiled.
He was there for me. I mean, I'm not going to go into graphic detail, but let's just say that sometimes when he was walking away from the camera, my eyes wandered.
Your eyes wandered all year. That was the cast of EastEnders was sexed up this year. So
I know, it's very sexualized, mainly by you, I have to say. Shall I read out a few comments on Twitter and our Facebook group?
And then we'll do our predictions. Our envelopes are ready.
Perfect idea. Okay, so we asked you on Twitter and on our Facebook group for your favourite moments of 2020. And you, as always, did not disappoint, guys. So thank you so much for getting in touch and giving us your views. So first, starting off then with a few comments off Twitter. At JSSL_96 says, "My favourite moment of 2019 was when Mel's car crash. It was harrowing and it gave me chills."
It was the one and only time this year I accepted background music.
Oh yeah, then and then they used a kind of dum 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 dum.
Yeah,
dum,
but it was
dum,
better.
Dum.
Well done.
It's like an ABBA song. What's that ABBA song? Dum 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 dum. Does your mother know? God.
No, she doesn't.
Well, she might. At Ballinfan says, "The siege was the moment of the year for me."
Yeah, that was a top moment.
As agreed by at H_Ashy T, she said the wedding siege and the Callum and Whitney moment. Moment of the year was when we found out Callum was gay, as it was definitely the biggest shock, as I wasn't expecting it, and it was the start of the #Ballum love story, and that was from Courtney Mitchell.
Oh yeah, a lot of fans were born that day.
There was yes, and they all came to Twitter to say hello. At Elves36 said, "Mel getting hit by the lorry has got to be a contender for the moment of the year. Don't know if anyone else saw it coming, but I definitely did not."
And when I had that feeling, that same feeling I had with Abby Branning's death, where I didn't know it was happening, but I knew it was happening. I had the same feelings inside about Mel, but it was still really well done, if a little bit horror filmy. But
like I said, I liked it. I liked the camp. All Mel's moments were quite camp, like the running around the forest when he's chasing with the gun and the car chase. I mean, maybe Mel just equates campness for the show, which is another reason why we'll miss her so much.
Yeah, it's true.
on our Facebook group, which you can join by just searching Walford Weekly and then clicking to join us. It's a really good community, so do join in. Emma Ray said, Linda, hands down, had one of my favourite all-time episodes in the history of the show ever.
Oh, that must be the New Year's Eve party one then.
Yeah,
it was really, really good.
It was a great episode. It's the very last episode of the year as well. It's quite a little task to have that. And finally, James Reed said, again, the wedding and siege week was a complete triumph. It felt like a return to classic EastEnders with a fantastic ensemble cast at the centre. So I think hands down the winner was the wedding siege.
Oh yeah, that was very good week, followed by the car crash.
Oh yes.
Right, so are you ready to open up these envelopes?
I am. Who's going to go first? Are you going to read mine first or shall I read?
Shall I open yours?
Oh, okay, go on then.
Yeah, I've got it in my hands. I'll put it up to the microphone so you can hear it. Oh. We do promise there's a photo online. These are sealed.
This is
from
absolutely genuine.
And we are worried about what...
what I've written. But genuinely, we wrote this at the beginning of last year after we recorded our review of the year. And
basically, once Kate Oates had been announced is when we decided. Oh, yellow paper.
Oh yeah, I remember I bought...
That's old.
I know, I remember when I bought that notebook.
Oh God, you got loads. I don't think I've written as much as you. You've got like full paragraphs.
Oh, okay, well read it out loud.
Right, so number 1. Ben Mitchell will buy and create the gay nightclub. He will open with a Lady Gaga night.
I'm not that far off.
Ben Mitchell's back, 1.
Yeah.
So that's correct. And there is a gay nightclub being open, which is the Prince
Kathy,
Albert.
who's his mother.
Yeah. No Lady Gaga night, though.
Well, that's fine. Can I have half a point for that?
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you.
Right, number 2. The bills will be built up. Ooh, Peter Bill will return with a new face. No. That's not till 2020.
Oh.
You're a year ahead of yourself. But that could have been quite something.
I knew Kate seen my ear.
And start a relationship with Lola Pierce.
I wonder what made me think that.
How did you know that Lola was coming back? That's odd. You've predicted Ben and Lola now.
Weren't they announced?
Oh, were they?
Oh,
okay, I'm not sure.
I'm getting half a point for the gay club thing.
Yeah, okay. You said possibly jealousy storyline with Jay, ?
Hey! So I knew that Jay...
So her and Jay get together, so that's
half a point?
Good. Yeah.
Excellent, I'm on 1.
Adam the dentist will not be forgotten. However, he is discovered as being somehow entailed with Habiba or Ikra in the past. Perhaps slept together when they were younger, and Billy tries to blackmail him and use it against him.
Oh, that was a better story. I should have done that. Oh no, Billy did try to blackmail him.
He did, yeah, he did find out.
He saw them kissing. I'm getting... Will you tell me, what do I get for that?
Yeah, points, yeah.
A point. Brilliant.
This is very accurate. It's a bit odd, isn't it?
Well, see, I told you. Anyone listening from EastEnders...
Oh no, don't get too cocky yet. Number 4... Jack Branning.
I knew Branning was there.
Dies in a horrendous accident while trying to save Amy and Ricky from a crazy, drugged-up Rainey. Or Ingrid. Bonus point if it's Ingrid. So that didn't happen. I mean, Rainey didn't really get that
drugged
out of control. No. And Jack doesn't die. Amy and Ricky weren't in danger this year.
Sean took Amy from a school and they all thought that she...
Phil tried to drive them out. Run them over.
Oh, so true, but it wasn't drug fueled.
No, but you don't get any points for that.
Fair enough.
Right, your last one. Yours is a lot more detailed than mine. Mine's like 2 words, I think.
Oh, really? Well, next time you know.
Yeah, I know. Right, number 5. This will be Dot's last full year, and the seeds will be sown for her final scenes, which will be the 35th anniversary in 2020. That's a bit of a cheat there.
Well, that's it, because I'm going into 2020 as well. But then there's still no points, because I don't think there's any signs of her leaving, is there?
I wouldn't put it past her leaving on the 35th anniversary, but that's 2020, not 2019.
I can't get points for that then, I guess.
No, so...
2.
But still, 3 of them were like...
Yeah, pretty...
Almost.
Two were halfway there, and 1 was spot on. Almost 100%.
Okay.
What I'll do is I'll post that on our Twitter when the episode comes out, so you can have a look at the beautiful yellow paper. Right, I've got your envelope here. I'm looking forward to reading yours now.
Mine won't go for very long.
Oh, okay.
Well, they're only like 1 sentence, I think.
All right. Well, next time you know...
I kept it brief so I could get more points.
I'm gonna... Yeah, well, kept it vague is your wording. Okay, here we go. Oh, yours is typed.
Oh.
Beautiful. So, 2019 predictions. Number 1, a shock death. Halfway will be killed by Stuart, ending his storyline. Also, Whitney will be pregnant. None of that happened.
I remember why I wrote that, because there was an episode after the Mel and Ray wedding, and Whitney and Callum kissed outside their new house, and there was like a big crane shot of them, and it was all like lovey, lovey, lovey. And I thought they're doing this because they're going to kill him.
They're going to kill her off because Whitney can't be happy ever.
No, so that was
and I
wrong.
suppose because we don't even know we're halfway, or Callum was gay at that point.
No, he didn't even know.
Nor did the actor or the writers. Number 2, surprise return of a character we haven't seen in years. Will appear in last quarter of the year for a Christmas storyline. Lisa? Lee? You put down Janine or Grant. Neither of those. I'm surprised by Grant, because you always say to me, Grant will never come back.
Probably because of the Shiani thing, I thought maybe.
Okay. You were right with... I would give you half a point for that.
Yeah.
Because,
Lee was back.
And there was characters
and
throughout.
Sean was back, and Bianca.
That's what I mean.
So.
Yeah, half a point, Ben. Half a point. Well done. Number 3. Stacey will be in a new relationship by the end of 2019, but won't be with Max. That's happened.
Yeah, she's with whatever the name is. Jermaine
from the School Gates.
Yeah.
You get full point for that, as far as I'm concerned.
It won't be Max.
And it wasn't Max.
No.
Max is having a polygamous relationship. I can't even say it. Are you ready for number 4?
Yes.
The Shianu affair
will
be revealed by Louise, which technically it was.
Yeah, she worked out first with a PT training.
With something Dennis has captured on a device. So you think it was his drone?
Yeah, I was at the time. I knew I'd written that, but that didn't happen. But Louise worked it out.
I was going to say, I'd give you
she
half
worked out
of
the
that.
personal training, didn't she?
She was forced to listen to it by Sharon. It's so horrible, that scene. It's still, I think that's Sharon's lowest moment of the year, when she made Louise listen to that and say, oh, it's all personal training. Number 5, surprise exit for either Kim. There was an exit for Kim.
Yeah.
Denise or Patrick. One or all of them will leave the soap.
So Kim.
So you thought that basically the Trumans were leaving?
One of them. But I wanted Kim to leave.
Well, Kim has left. So
she's not left, but she has, kind of.
Well, there was an exit. It was not a surprise, but it was an exit. I'll give you a point for that.
Good.
So that means you got 3.
Did I only do 4, did I?
You did 5.
Oh.
That was all 5.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, you need to be bit more detailed next time, like me.
It's not too bad, though. I predicted Kim leaving. Who could have predicted that?
No, that's true. But then I predicted a gay club opening.
That's true.
Didn't
predict the name, though.
No, the Albert. I must admit, when they announced the name as the Albert, I was really impressed at the time as well. I thought that was clever. So you
didn't do too bad then, either of us.
No, technically you've won that with 3 out of 5, and I got 2 out of 5.
But yours were more detailed.
Mine were, but
you did kind of get 3 though. The first 3.
Yeah, but 2 of mine were only half right. I'm pleased with my 2.
Oh, yeah, because of Peter Bill. Too early, you see.
It's Ingrid, you see. Ingrid lost me that point. I could have got a bonus point with that.
But it's impressive you predicted Peter Bill with a new face, not Bobby Bill. You got them the wrong way round.
Yeah, if only I said Bobby. I won't say... The predictions are already screwing through my head.
I know. We'll write 5 more down ready for our next year review.
Absolutely. So join us next year. Join us in January 2021 for our end of year review. And also whether our 5 predictions are almost just as accurate or better still.
How exciting. So there you go. I mean, you have to rate the year as well. Do you want me to go first? Because you can't remember the rating.
Do we do it by grade?
Yes.
Okay, you go first.
I'm going to give it a strong B+.
All right.
Last year I gave it like a D-. But there's still work to be done. But the work that has been done has been quite substantial.
Okay.
It's just the last quarter of the year's brought it down from an A.
Really? You think the last quarter was the one that brought it down?
Yeah, I didn't like it.
That surprises me. I'm inclined, and this sounds like I'm sitting on the fence a little bit, but I am inclined to agree with you. I think it was a B+. If I was being overly generous, I could lean toward an A- or a B++, if there's such a thing.
No.
But no, I'm going to say B. I'm going to stick with you. I'm going to say B+. I think last year I gave it a C or a B. I think I may have given it a B-.
I think it was quite low last year.
Yeah, it was a C. I think it was a C I gave it. So yeah, B+. As you say, there's room for improvement. Maybe less of the sound effects, but I quite like the music in the background.
Yeah, it's fine to be experimental.
Yeah, have a bit of fun. See what works and stick with it.
Some of the cast needs to be lowered. There's too many now. There's a lot of cast.
And
just a few of the most extreme storylines need to be just taken down a bit.
Okay. I've not got a problem with the cast or the storylines. I quite like a bit of extremity in my stories.
What can they do next year to improve it to an A then for you?
Not going to tell you because that's my prediction for the year.
Right, I'll wait.
Yes.
Till 2021.
And see if my predictions are the improvements that they've done. I mean, for me, I just want them to keep going the way they're going. Keep going the direction they're going.
Improving.
Yeah. And don't add a 5th episode to the week.
No.
Because that will just bring their standard back down.
That'd be a prediction.
Yeah, probably would be.
Well, there you go. So that was the review of 2019.
Mm.
Interesting to know what everyone else thinks and what you would grade it. So let us know.
Yeah, get in touch. You can find all our details on our website, walfordweekly.com, and that's got our links to Twitter, Facebook, our email address, and our Instagram account. And don't forget, you can also find videos that we produce on our YouTube as well.
So we will see you again next year for a review of the year.
Toodle pip.